Hi everyone and welcome back to Alejandro HD. And I know I said I was going to do these things outside, and trust me, it will happen eventually. But this is just so convenient having both the Dhammapada on the right and then me on the left, and I can talk about it and I can share my thoughts. So yeah, I think I'm gonna buy like a physical copy and then just go sit under a tree and read it and talk about it. I think that'll probably be the best way. Anyway, moving on. Chapter 3, Thoughts or Thought. Don't know why I said thoughts. Thought, yeah. So, just picking up where we left off, I'll read out the passage or the number, and then I'll just say what I think about it, and then we'll just move on like that. So 33. As a felcher makes a straight arrow, a wise man makes a straight his trembling and unsteady thought, which is difficult to guard, difficult to hold back. So, as a felcher makes straight his arrow, a wise man makes straight his trembling and unsteady thought, which is difficult to guard, difficult to hold back. To me, that's kind of maybe a sort of resemblance of like how arrows are sort of manufactured in the same way each and every time. So there's no there's no abstract thought to how an arrow is made. It's just straight. It's got this like point at the end and then bit at the back, the little feather things at the back, and then that's it. It's always the same. Whereas a wise man has an unsteady thought because he has to think differently each time. That's just how I see it. I'm not sure if that's kind of what they're saying. Some of these sayings are go a little bit over my head. Not gonna lie, but that's just what it is. It's all about learning. So 34. As a fish taken from its watery home and thrown into the dry ground, our thought trembles all over in order to escape the dominant of Mara the tempter. So as a fish is taken from his watery home and thrown on dry ground, all thought trembles all over in order to escape. So it's kind of like if the way I see this one is sort of like taken out of your comfort zone. So like you're happy in your home. In this case, the analogy is a fish, and when you're thrown on dry ground, you're sort of outside of that happy bubble, and you start like you're scared and you're trembling and you want to escape. In this, and just that's just how I see it. Like it's kind of like shown as the title is thought. It's sort of how you react in this situation. Again, I don't know if that's what it actually means, but that's just how I see it. 35. It's good to tame the mind, which is difficult to hold in, fighty, Russian, whatever is listeth. Is listeth? Is listeth. A tamed mind brings happiness. Well, of course. Yeah. It's good to tame the mind, which is difficult to hold in fighty, Russian, whatever. Yeah, so it's that's a bit of a word scramble there. But what I think that is just trying to say is a tamed mind, a happy mind will, make you happy. It'll bring happiness. You're controlled, you're meditating, you're focused, you're concentrating, and your good things will come from that. That's just how I see it. 36. Let the wise man guard his thoughts, for they are difficult to perceive, very artful, and they rush wherever they list. Thoughts well guarded bring happiness. Let the wise man guard his thoughts, for they are difficult to perceive, very artful, and they rush wherever they list. Thoughts well guarded. Yeah, so that's just sort of picking up from taming your mind, and then having um, guarded thoughts, sort of carries on from that. So focused and tamed, and then guarded. Yeah, that's just 35, 36 sort of mashed together. Those who bridle their mind with travels far, moves about alone, is without a body, and hides in the chamber of the heart, will be free from the bonds of Mara. So those who bridle their mind, which travels far, moves without alone, is without a body and hides in the chamber for the heart will be free from the... Yeah, so this is kind of like letting your mind wander through meditation, being free of, you know, um, stagnant thought, because it says like travels far. You like, you starts in like 35, taming the mind, bringing happy thoughts, and then letting it sort of explore, and it takes you away from the sort of evil. Kind of how I see it. 38. If a man's thoughts are unsteady, if he doesn't know true law, if his peace of mind is troubled, his knowledge will never be perfect. Yeah, so this is now sort of twin verses style, going back on itself. Like, if you're not, having these, good tame thoughts, if you're sort of struggling, if you're going away from the desired path, then you'll never be perfect. It'll be problems. Pretty straightforward. 39. If a man's thoughts are not dissipated, if his mind is not perplexed, if he has ceased to think good or evil, then there is no fear for him while he is watchful. So I think this is sort of, again, talking about meditation and taking your mind away from these sort of negative thoughts. If his mind is not perplexed, if he's not overthinking things, if he's sort of straight and narrow, he's ceased to think of good or evil, then there's no fear for him. So like he's not worried about really anything. Like he can just be focused and straight and calm and peaceful. 40. Knowing, can't read English. Knowing that this body is fragile like a jar, and making thought firm like a fortress, one should attack Mara with the weapon of knowledge. One should watch him when conquered and should never rest. So knowing that this body is like a jar, like fragile, and making thought firm like a fortress. So that's interesting. So they're sort of saying like, you're like a jar. You could fall and break and smash. Your body is fragile. Making this firm like a fortress, one should attack. So like kind of like making your mind be your ultimate sort of defense against evil thoughts, and bad things. Like in this case they're talking about Mara. With the weapon of knowledge, one should watch when conquered and should never rest. So it's kind of like knowledge will bring power in this case. It's kind of how I see it. It's a good one though. Before long, alas, I like that. This body will lie on earth despised without understanding like a useless log. Okay, that's a bit interesting. So before long, alas, this body will lie on earth despised. Is it like despised? Yeah, despised without understanding like a useless log. Okay, not sure about that one. Somebody will have to fill me in there. Whatever a hater, I like that, hater. Whatever a hater may do to a hater, or an enemy, a wrongly directed mind will do us greater mischief. So that's kind of like whatever I mean. So that sort of just, I think, goes on. The sort of negative thoughts breed negativity. If you're a hater, then you'll just do onto another hater. It's kind of like a domino effect. That's how I see it. 43. Not a mother, not a father will do so much, nor any other relative. A well-directed mind will do us greater service. So it's kind of like, don't focus on anyone else's advice, but rather than choose to follow your own. I think that's kind of how it's said. A well-directed mind will do us greater service than listening to the thoughts and the sort of direction of other people who might not have um, a mindset that is sort of, I don't know, tamed. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, still learning. I like that one. That was chapter 3 thought. And stay tuned for chapter 4 where we look at flowers. Interesting. I'm interested in that one. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.